I get the most interesting people, humans on this planet drinking Flow.
Nicholas Reichenbach, founder, chairman and CEO at Flow Alkaline Spring Water.
We have well over 20 celebrities that are shareholders of Flow, from the most amazing bands in the world like Coldplay to Post Malone, Shawn Mendes, Halle Berry, Bill Gates. He drinks Flow, Jennifer Lawrence. The list goes on, but it's a great product. Everyone believes in the brand, and we get it into the right hands of the right people. We send Flow to 200 people like that every month. Jason Bateman gets it at his place all the way through. But if you believe in your product and you believe that it needs to be in the right hands, the universe brings it to you. And now it just happens organically. Every week, a new pro athlete's drinking Flow because it's a superior water in an eco-friendly pack.
Today's episode of How the Fuck Did You Get That Job is sponsored by Open Fortune. Got to give a big shout out to the world's most creative ad platform. They took the fortune cookie, flipped it on its head, and are working with over 47,000 restaurants to get brands like ZipRecruiter, Zelle, Chime, Duolingo on the back of fortune cookies and burned into the brains of the consumers and into their hearts. So shout out to Open Fortune for making today possible. And stoked to get into this one. This one should be a fun one. Today, in the hot seat, we have joining us Nicholas Reichenbach, the CEO and founder of Flow Hydration. Nicholas's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Starting off in the music industry as VP of International Business Development at Gulp Music, he quickly proved that he's just not another suit. After a quick stint in the gaming world as VP of BizDev for Game Federation, he took the reins at Magmic, where he launched and developed the D2C app store for BlackBerry and climbed his way up to EVP. But Nicholas wasn't done yet. In 2011, he founded Rabbit, a video chat company, and since then, his expertise has been in high demand. He served on the board of advisors for companies like Guest Driven, Magmic, General Assembly Pizza, Dimensions, and Simply Protein. Fast forward to today, Nicholas is at the helm of Flow Hydration, a company he founded in 2014 with a mission to bring wellness to the world through the positive power of water. Flow is not just another water company, it's a game changer, offering sustainably sourced, naturally alkaline spring water in a recyclable and up to 75% renewable plant-based pack. Under his leadership, Flow has become a global leader in the water industry and is now a publicly traded company. So Nicholas, with such an epic career journey, I've got to ask, how the fuck did you get that job?
Thanks, David.
I'm glad I'm funny.
Yeah. I never viewed myself as that person that you just talked about.
Well, yeah, this is therapy. Welcome to a look in the mirror.
Yeah. How did I get here? It's like the net sum of everything that I've done in the past brought me right to where I am today. Right now, Flow, I incepted the idea of Flow after exiting one of my companies, Rabbit. And I was living in Silicon Valley, and I was wondering, what am I going to do next? For the past 25 years before that, I was in tech and developing digital entertainment products. From launching the first ringtone ever put on an MP3 on a phone with Motorola and MTV with Gulp Music in London when I was doing my master's, and then getting very deep into mobile entertainment and gaming. Which I still have Magmic today. It's, I think, 25 years old. I no longer sit on the board. I'm a very, passionate shareholder of that. And over that stint, I did well over 300 video games I've published. Guitar Hero Mobile, New York Times Crossword, Star Wars, Blackjack, Poker, all the fun games. So, very, very familiar with that. And tech companies have a low carbon footprint, man. We're dealing with the digital ether of things. And so I grew up on this magical artesian mineral water spring in my hometown, Mildmay, Ontario, which is in South Bruce County in Canada.
Let's talk about what I want to jump into flow, but let's talk about growing up in next to the water spring. Like, how was your upbringing like affecting you in the business world? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah, I've always wanted to be who I am. That's a bit of a gift from the universe. I had always loved being an entrepreneur. From day one, growing up in a very small town, 1,000 people. Growing up on the spring, I always had obviously a very close connection with the water and the spring. In fact, I don't believe I ever drank tap water that wasn't from an artesian spring. Not until I was 18 years old. Outside of like maybe one or two times, and by that time we didn't really have bottled water. It started to just come up. It growing up in that small town with that spring was amazing. It was incredible because I was always surrounded around that powerful positive charge that water leaves, and it's a beautiful, pristine spring. One of only a dozen in the world. It releases 4 million liters a day above the surface of the earth. So it looks like turquoise blue and comes out at 9 degrees Celsius. And so it's cold water. And so, yeah, it was incredible to grow up on the spring. In an early age, my father bought an adjacent spring in a town called Formosa, and he launched Canada's first bottled water company. Yeah, it was called Formosa
And
Springs.
was that your first, touch of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, that was probably the first time that I started to really go, that's fucking cool,
That is. And what about entrepreneurship and what your pop was doing like really excited you?
Yeah, well, so he's a lawyer, corporate lawyer. So I wouldn't say that he was an entrepreneur per se. But he was involved as a partner in this for his legal expertise, because at that time water wasn't drank in vessels like portable vessels. You just get it out of your tap, and this was before plastic. And so their idea was to put this beautiful artesian mineral water inside a glass bottle like Perrier and Evian, the only two companies selling water in Canada. And there's only two other companies in the US, Polar Springs and Mountain Valley, right? So this is how it was the start of the start. And there was only one other water product called Canada Dry soda, right? Not even still. And so I got a dose of what it was like to build and launch a company from that experience with my father and my mother too. They'd have dinner parties over with all of the other founders, and we'd be drinking the water and all that stuff. And I was proud and saw that was a really great way of spreading positive intentions onto the planet.
I love the way you describe those dinner parties, because it's like we had dinner parties and there was water was flowing everywhere. That's awesome.
Yeah, people would pull on their cars in the backyard, and then we'd be drinking the water, and it was something that everyone was super proud of in my county, that they did it. And my father brought the expertise to get the permit, which they were never granted before. So he got the permit to extract water for portable vessel. They launched the first bottled water company in Canada, and then they sold it in 1987.
Very, very cool. That's awesome that it's just been such a long history with water, and
started my passion for water.
We talked about it off camera, but tell all the listeners just about your last name and what that means.
Yeah. Right. Well, very serendipitous Flow, and everything that's happened from the inception of Flow to today, even this week. But yeah, so my family origin name is Reichenbach, which is Swiss German, and it's from Bern, Switzerland, and Reichenbach Falls. If you ever read Sherlock Holmes, and the German pronunciation of Reichenbach means strong flowing stream, or the strong flow.
It's so poetic.
That is so poetic. And I didn't even know what it meant. I had to. My father never told me. I was Googling it one night, looking at what the origin of
Was this
Reichenbach was.
pre-flow or was this post-flow?
It was post-flow.
That's crazy.
It was post-flow. And then my father's license plate still to today is outflow.
That's so good.
Yeah. So I guess it was meant to be, huh? A little destiny in the cards.
Absolutely.
That's where my affiliation and my connection to water, it started there, and bringing the powerful, positive charge of water to the planet. It started there, and then it's now continuing on. It's a legacy.
Amazing. And I'm excited to get into the whole flow story, but I need to touch a little bit on just you created the App Store for BlackBerry.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. That was cool.
What was that like? From inception, the idea to execution, what did that look like? And what year were we in, just to set the stage?
2005. Yeah, 2005. I just returned to Canada, having lived in Europe for 6 years. Did my master's. Started the first ringtone company with real audio files in the UK, and sold them millions and millions of files all across the world. And then I went and moved to Sweden and started into mobile gaming and provisioning platform that allowed for you to send mobile games, apps, and ringtones to phones through text messaging. Right? Do you remember the Crazy Frog? Boom.
I don't, but
and so Crazy Frog is like, it was the first ringtone that just broke everything up, and that was the wave we're riding. So what I built in Sweden was a provisioning platform, or an app store that was running off this technology called WAP, wireless application protocol. And then 3G came in Scandinavia and Japan in 2023. And we were breaking that data barrier that allowed us to send more complex files, like music files, video files, and gaming files. And so we built the first provisioning platforms, the first generation of app stores. And we deployed that to 20 million customers in Northern Europe. And it would sit on a phone with a little link, and it would launch a browser, and no graphics or anything. So I did that. And then when I moved back to Canada, one of my old investors in a previous generation of myself, I used to throw concerts, and one of my investors in our concert business in the 90s, he went down the same path. He was a mobile entrepreneur, mobile tech entrepreneur with multiple exits, and he developed the core technology around Java, and then sold it to Sun Microsystems. And so then he went on and started Magmic, the video game company, and no one could send data through files in complex games were out of the question. And so he actually wrote the code with BlackBerry, the first really data-enabled device, to put games on it that were connected games, like multiplayer. This is 2002. And then I came on in 2005, and we had met in Europe before, and he said, "Hey, do you think you could create the App Store for BlackBerry, and you could license all of these games and music files and put them on there?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I can." So I moved back. We did it. Boom. Rest is history.
And I mean, that's so cool. How do you go about educating a consumer about something that hasn't existed before?
Well, in this case, the BlackBerry App Store, we signed the first publishing agreement directly with Mike at BlackBerry, the co-CEO, and Jim. And that enabled us to actually preload that link and icon on every BlackBerry they sold. And that's how consumers discovered it, the portal. And that we were doing over 1 million transactions a day at the peak of BlackBerry. And that's how we got most of the discovery. And then the second way we did is it embedded on the wireless carrier. So we ran Rogers App Store, TELUS App Store, US Cellular, Altel, like all these major carriers. We would put the same App Store link and just have a different skin around it. And we would launch them on all of those. And that's the way that we unmasked, 1 million transactions plus a day. And I signed every single major publishing deal in entertainment for games and music that existed. Every major EA, Activision, all of the properties. And that's where I became like, you know what my title was? Big Game Hunter.
Love that.
And we come from a generation of hunting, so it was kind of suited. So I had on my business card when I was wearing a little image of a gamified image of myself with sunglasses, and underneath it was, executive vice president of publishing, Big Game Hunter.
Love that. Hey, Nicholas, I'm curious. At that time, you weren't as well known, right, in terms of breaking into this space yet. Well, not even you personally or the business itself, right?
No, yeah, we weren't.
What did you have to do to get through to Mike and Jim at BlackBerry? Like, what did it take?
You know what? So you're going to unlock some of my secrets, though. Okay, so I'll tell you my first secret in business. Don't ever start a consumer-facing brand without a rock star publicist. Okay, that's like number one. I never, ever start a company now without a rock star publicist, because that's how you get into the mind share of the masses. But that's also how you get very interesting articles published by business press, about what you're doing. And as a result, that's what put Magmic on the kind of map of the consumer, but also the map of the industry. We were in the New York Times. We were in the Wall Street.
Do you still feel that is the same, even though people have like, oh, PR's dead, yada, yada, and like the rise of organic?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, you can spend your time as a CEO or a founder, CEO, or a leader. You can spend your time trying to create that buzz through mechanisms like this and other mechanisms like content publishing, really, or you can have someone do it for you. I don't necessarily enjoy like creating original content and all of that stuff. I much prefer putting my energy in creating the actual products and services and the brand versus myself. And as a reflection of my product geekiness, I usually come along for the ride.
Do you have any more secrets?
Yeah, I have more secrets. So back to the point of signing a deal with Mike and Jim, but this is like across the board. You only need to be to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to have only two traits: tenacity and ignorance. The two of them are lethal. It's like you don't know what you don't know and you don't care, right? And so like you cold call people, you go up to their office. I think, I think John, the founder of Magmic, he went up to BlackBerry and he basically just went into the office and knocked on a door. Had a good relationship. One of the other founders of Magmic, Phil Giroux, I think he probably did it too. And he, anyways, long story short, like that those two traits have followed me through, which is if you want something you have to be tenacious, and you almost have to not be. You have no fear because you don't really think about it too much. It doesn't enter in it. I cold called the CEO of this company and got her on the phone, Carmen, and sealed the deal with a $14 billion company to be the first company in the world to launch a premium mineral water in a Tetra Pak, and convince them to change this cap to sugarcane versus plastic, and launch it with us. And the rest is history. If I had never called, if I had never pushed to be their strategic partner in this, Flow wouldn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, I love that deadly lethal combo, you call it. I want to, speed us up to Flow and talk about that, and touch on Rabbit as well. It was one of the first video chat companies. And that same with Flow being early, right? What are some of the strengths and weaknesses or challenges that come with being, early to a great product or environment?
Yeah, it's well, you can be too early, and then you got a problem, or you could be too late, and then you got a problem, or you can be just right on time. And so Rabbit was too early, a little too early, and that's why we sold it inevitably. But it was when we launched, Google Hangouts didn't exist. And that's why Google, as they were developing that product, they invested in Rabbit to see and we had patents across what's called many-to-many. And so I took my experience in gaming, and if you know about gaming, what we were doing is creating like the Halo or the Counter-Strike or the that type of platform, but on video chat. It was virtual world environments that had presence. You knew where that was, and then you linked audio and video to it. And the director of Sony Online PlayStation was my partner, Philippe, and he had a double master's in quantum physics and something else.
So kind of a smart dude.
He basically created like a Halo type of virtual world in real life with video chat, and we could do many-to-many video chats before anyone, like Skype, I think, had one-to-one at the time. There was not even group chats. So we were just a little too early and ended up and selling. But like, imagine if I kept that, we would have been Zoom. We had more sophisticated technologies and patents than Zoom does, right? So it's all about timing. And can you get them too early? Yes. Can you get them too late? Yeah, I've had that happen too. But with Flow, we hit it right. If it was 2 years before, it wouldn't have worked. 2 years after, I would have been in a competitive market. We hit sustainable packaging in water as a moat. We hit it right on the money with that one. Timing was so serendipitous because here's what happened. I started launching it, blah, blah, I got it all done. And then I found out just before I was launching that Will Smith, the actor, and Jaden Smith, his son, was launching a competitor called Just Water. Can you believe that? At the same time. And then I found out and I turned it on. I was like, I got to get going, man. And then we launched only 5 or 6 months before them.
Wow. And I'm sure that 5 or 6 months like really helped out beating somebody, especially with like the distribution. You talk about publicists, right? When you're going into that market, right? What were some of the most creative things you did to build Flow or build the brand of Flow, other than hire a publicist?
Well, I partnered with Joe Jackman, who runs a creative agency called Jackman Reinvent. And he used to be like CMO of Dwayne Reed, Walgreens, CMO of Loblaws, which is a huge Canadian retailer. And so he's a brand expert. And I always, second secret, I always go for domain expertise over my own opinion, right? So like if you're a domain expert, I love success builds success. So I partnered with him and he created the Flow brand. My wife came up with the brand itself, Flow, and a flow letter, 4-letter word meaning the flow of energy, flow of water, flow of everything. That was very serendipitous because I acquired the trademark,
Because your
which is
last
even
name is
more
also Flo. Means
right. And who acquires a trademark for a category that is flow, FLOW, that means the flow of water and the flow of energy and all that stuff for $1,200.
I'm curious how they. I mean, I don't know if that would like. I feel like with trademarks, yeah. I'm so surprised that wasn't even taken.
Everyone said I couldn't do it, and I said, you know what, I'm going to get it, and I got it. And so Joe took the brand and he really put it on. I put it on steroids, and we really focused in on a target market, the wellness consumer, because of the attributes of the water, alkalinity, minerals, electrolytes, but it's also natural. It's coming from a spring, and it's also sustainable. So that is our core market, the wellness consumer. We just didn't know how big that was, and it's huge, the market.
Can you tell me some of the things that you've done from like a scrappiness perspective, or the scrappiest thing that you've done at Flow?
Well, initially, I used to just carry around jars of water. Before I had a mock up of the package, how I signed my rock star publicist, Fiji's publicist at the time. I went into her office, Natasha Kaufman from NKPR, and I sat down with her and I gave her a 5-slide deck. I still have it on my computer. It's kind of embarrassingly good. You know what I mean? I had 5 slides on it, and I gave her the water. She drank the water. She said, "Oh my God, this is fantastic water." She's like, how do I invest? And she became a shareholder investor, and my publicist still today. And that was super scrappy. And then I went to she introduced me to the ex-president COO of Fiji Water, John Cochran. And I said, John, I'm going to fly up and see you in LA. And I literally smuggled a glass bottle of Flow into an airplane. You're not allowed to bring samples across the border and stuff, but I brought it all over with me. And I sat down with that same deck, and I convinced him to put money in and become the first president of Flow.
Wow.
I mean, and just on the back of a jar of water that was, well, magical water, but it's the highest quality mineral water. And that was pretty scrappy. I've done a lot of scrappy stuff. I'm a hustler, man. I'll make it happen.
I could tell. And what's unique about Flow's marketing perspective?
Well, we're the highest ESG rated beverage stock on the planet. So our sustainability efforts is second to none. No one's even close to us. Our B Corp certification makes us the top 5 companies in the world, and we're definitely top 1 in the beverage. So sustainability at the core, making the planet healthy, is our number one. Or what I say against our shareholder calls, I end the calls with, after all, Mother Earth is our number 1 shareholder, right? So that makes us super unique. And then, back to the product, I'm obviously a water snob, but I believe Flow is the best tasting water on the planet. And our customers, we have 20 million customers, they also believe it too.
How do you educate the consumer? You have 20 million, it's a hell of a base. How do you educate the other consumers in the other markets you're trying to penetrate that you have the best water and that you're focused on sustainability? Like what's the methodology? Like, is it the traditional standard, tried and true? Do you try to do things that are a little bit more out of the box? Talk to us about that.
I get the most interesting people, humans on this planet drinking Flow. That's how I do it. We have well over 20 celebrities that are shareholders of Flow, from the most amazing bands in the world, like Coldplay, to Post Malone, amazing music artist, Shawn Mendes, Halle Berry, Bill Gates, he drinks Flow, Jennifer Lawrence, the list goes on. But it's a great product. I like everyone believes in the brand, and we get it into the right hands of the right people. We send flow to 200 people like that every month. And from, Jason Bateman gets it at his place all the way through. But if you believe in your product and you believe that it needs to be in the right hands, the universe brings it to you. And now it just happens organically. Every week, new pro athletes drinking flow. There are tons of pro athletes drinking flow because it's a superior water in an eco-friendly pack.
And you're not paying them. You're not asking them to post it on social or anything like that. They're just drinking when they drink it. If people see it and they talk about it, and that's it.
That's cheap, paying people to do things is kind of like, okay, that's like one way, but it doesn't even look good. What looks good is if they love flow, that's the only thing that matters, and once you start drinking flow, you fall in love with it. It has a very close relationship. Water has a very, very close relationship with, humanity. It's the essential life giver. But we have a very close. And when you get a water brand that you can believe in and that you really enjoy the taste and the quality of it, the rest is history, man. You're drinking it nonstop.
That's a really interesting strategy of getting, celebrities and high level folks to just have flow, drink it, love it, share it, however they do it. What's the craziest story that you have on someone that was drinking flow because you sent it over to them?
Yeah. So, Post Malone discovered the brand through his manager, and his manager and I, befriended and started talking. So we started sending Post flow backstage on his tours, and basically his manager was contemplating or had already invested in flow or was about to. And we're like, he was like, come by the Newark, New Jersey show and meet Post. He'd love to meet you. And we'll, obviously continue our discussions, blah, blah, blah. So my CRO, Tim Dwyer, and myself roll in in January 2020. And we go into the backstage and then we go into Post and he wasn't feeling very good at the time, so he was like, okay, when do we meet him and all that stuff. And then we finally go in and meet him, and he didn't look very he looked like he was probably suffering some cold or something like that. At the time, we had never even heard of COVID. That was like somewhere else in China, and no one even thought about it in America. I think I watched it on the news once, and it just like brushed off me. We met, hey, how you doing, all that stuff, and then left. And then 2 days later, both my CRO and I got the alpha, and it knocked me out for 5 days. Now there's no like 100% that, but it was pretty close.
So Post Malone gave you COVID. Pretty cool.
Exactly. That's my claim to fame. And you know what? He's such an amazing artist that he performed that night, and it was incredible.
I don't put it past him. That is amazing.
What a guy. Unbelievable.
Nick, I think that's a great place to start wrapping up the episode and enter our quick question round.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Before we get into the quick question round, just got to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Open Fortune, for making this possible. They created one of the world's most creative ad canvases by making amazing fortune cookies that are distributed to 99% of zip codes, reaching consumers in a moment that matters. So let's get into it.
All right.
Person you'd most want to sit down to dinner with, dead or alive?
Oh, Jesus Christ would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Not the first Jesus I've gotten.
He would be a very interesting guy to sit down with, man. I'd have a lot of questions for him.
Favorite city in the world?
New York City. Best city in the world.
Is it okay to sleep with socks on?
No.
That's it's one me and Carlo argue about. I think it's okay.
I don't even wear socks now. Like,
I'm not wearing
during the day
now, but Carlo might be. Favorite rom-com?
Oh, that's tough. It's the Titanic, but I don't think it's a
Not much
rom-com.
calm. We got a lot of
But I like
best spot to eat in Toronto.
Patria. It's a Spanish restaurant. It's the best Spanish place in all of North America.
In 40 years from now, what will people be nostalgic for?
Being enlightened.
That's a good one.
Hopefully not good water.
Yeah.
Top 3 CEOs right now.
Elon Musk he's definitely up there, man. I love what he's doing and his attitude in general. The second one, you could say Elon Musk for Tesla, Elon Musk for SpaceX, and Elon Musk for X. Okay, there you go. 1, 2, and 3.
One thing people don't understand about starting your own company is blank.
How much effort and time and money it actually takes to be successful.
What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
To hire my replacement.
In one sentence, how do you sum up the internet?
Awesome.
Awesome, period. I like it. Who's somebody you think should hop on this podcast?
Oh, Elon Musk would be pretty good.
He would be. And last question, in 10 years from now, where can we catch you?
You can catch me in Colorado, Costa Rica, Australia.
Living the dream.
Living the dream.
There we go.
Healing people.
Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. Thanks, David.